Hey folks, lyarri here. Today reacting to Cars Are Getting Dumber by Drew Gooden. I cannot think of anything to say but goofy car videos with tech stuff. Yay! Let's go.
Hey guy, I want to start this video by telling you about something very dumb that I did recently, and I'm going to preface the story by saying that this was entirely my fault. There are probably 50 things I could have done differently to avoid what ended up happening, but I didn't, and that's on me. So I got a new car last month. For most of my adult life, I've been driving a 2012 Honda Civic that I bought from CarMax in 2015. I'll never forget the day I rolled up to my job at Popeyes and felt like the coolest guy in the parking lot. Took the Max part of the sticker off so it just said car on the back. Had a lot of fun back then. And even though this car was very reliable for pretty much the entire time I had it, it was starting to show its age, and I got to a point where I kind of just wanted something that felt nicer to be in. So I splurged a little bit, traded it in for one of the coolest sports cars on the market right now, a 2021 Hyundai Sonata. Now that's not the dumb part. There are so many things about this car that are massive upgrades over what I had before. There's a rear view camera, there's blind spot indicators, I don't have to plug my phone in anymore to play music, it beeps at me if I move 1 inch in either direction on the highway.
Crazy.
It's a great car. But there are also things about cars made in the past decade that aren't necessarily better, they're just different. For one, why as a society did we get rid of the Prindle? I have spent the past 15 years of my life building the muscle memory of yanking around my car's joystick to tell it where to go, and now it's just buttons? And I don't have the muscle memory.
I have an older car. I wasn't even
starting to develop some due to time passing, but for the first couple weeks I owned this car, I would have to stop looking this way so I could look down and see where the backwards button is. So that brings me to my story. 6 days after I bought this car, I was leaving a U-Haul storage facility and the exit gate was open. Now I've been there enough to know that sometimes, even though the exit gate is supposed to close, it'll just not. So I gave it a couple seconds, decided, yeah, it's gonna stay open, and started driving forward. And you will never guess what happened the exact moment I made that decision.
Started closing.
So naturally I'm like, uh-oh, this gate is going to hit my new used car. I should move out of the way. So I hit the reverse button, start accelerating, and my car moves forward. Now, if you've ever been operating a motor vehicle that starts moving in the opposite direction that you intended it to, you probably know about the panic that sets in. And I was running out of time. I could feel the gate inching nearer and nearer. So in the heat of the moment, I very wisely decided to do the exact same thing that didn't work the first time. I hit the reverse button, hit the gas pedal, and once again, my car moves forward. At this point, the only thing I've managed to do is get more in the path of the gate. And before I could try my foolproof strategy a third time, it crashed into the side of my car and the alarm went off and it made a big old scratch that'll probably cost a couple $100 to get buffed out and repainted. I don't know the exact amount yet because I'm too embarrassed to tell anyone what happened. Anyway, I've had about a month now to process this, and I'm of two minds. On one hand, it is kind of hilarious that I waited 9 years to buy a new car and I couldn't even get through 1 full week without fucking it up. I would love to see the security footage of me stopping in front of a closing gate, quickly accelerating, stopping, accelerating again, stopping again, before getting out and yelling, "God damn it!" It probably looked really fun. But then, on the other hand, I am kind of like, well, what the fuck happened? Because like I know that I hit the reverse button 2 separate times, and both times my car just decided not to do it.
I tried recreating this exact scenario in a parking lot to pinpoint exactly where I went wrong, and my best guess is just that I hit the accelerator and the reverse button at the same time, which triggered the car's computer to be like, hey, you can't do that. You're gonna hurt the transmission. Let's hurt the side of the car instead.
And like, it's a good thing that there's a mechanism in place to prevent the car from changing gears when you're moving too quickly. If I hit the reverse button while driving 70 miles per hour down the highway, I actually would want my car to ignore that. I'm pretty sure there was a similar mechanism in my old car. The difference is, though, that if this exact scenario happened while I was driving that one, there would have been physical feedback to tell me it was still in drive, and maybe I would have been less likely to floor it twice. In order to get the same confirmation from a button, you have to press it, look down at the dashboard, find the part that indicates what gear the car is in, process that information, and then react accordingly. And even if you can do all that very quickly, it still takes longer to send that information to your brain than if you can just feel where your hand is. And again, I'm the dumbass here. There are so many things I could have done differently. If I had just immediately accelerated as soon as I got to the gate, I would have made it through with time to spare. I also could have taken 3 extra seconds to just type my code in. I even could have stayed in bed all day and never gone anywhere near this gate, and that would have been a better decision too. But unfortunately, I didn't do any of those things. I did this, and I'm gonna have to live with that for the rest of my life. But my funny little mishap got me thinking about all these things I've seen over the past couple years of people getting screwed over by like modern features in their cars. And it made me want to do some research about it. And my takeaway is that while it would be untrue to say that cars have gotten worse, I do think they've gotten dumber.
I looked up why cars made the shift from the Prindle stick to just buttons or a touchscreen on the ceiling or a wheel that's right next to the volume knob that hopefully has never caused a hilarious but unfortunate accident. And it turns out the main reason is just that the stick is not necessary anymore because you're not physically changing the gear, you're just telling the car's computer what to do. Which, like, I get it. You know, I'm not here to stand in the way of progress.
The stick is fun.
I just think that if you have to create a new problem in order to fix something that wasn't really a problem to begin with, you're not being as innovative as you might think you are. Without a doubt, my biggest personal gripe with how cars are made now is touchscreen dashboards. Almost 80% of new cars in 2022 had some kind of touchscreen display built into it. It's just the norm now. And on the surface, it seems like an improvement. I mean, obviously this is more advanced technology than this. Gross. I bet this one doesn't even have 12 different menus I can flip through to try to figure out how to get my turn signals on. It just doesn't make much sense to me when there's already such a massive increase in distracted driving and accidents and deaths that happen because of it, that they're adding this thing into cars that you literally have to look at to be able to use. There's a Swedish magazine that ran this test a couple years ago where they had people drive 12 different cars down the highway and timed how long it took for them to complete the same series of tasks in each of them. And the winner by far was a 2005 Volvo. Now, this doesn't mean that 2005 Volvo is the best car. It just means that for basic tasks like changing a radio station or turning the AC on, physical buttons that you can memorize the location of are the quickest and safest way to do those things. You don't have to look away from the road to be able to find where the button is. I think ideally modern cars are built with the right combination of actual buttons for basic tasks and the touchscreen for more advanced features, most of which you don't really need to use while driving anyway. And it does seem like some of the companies that maybe over-embraced this technology a few years ago have started to peel back and find a happy medium. But what absolutely drives me crazy is cars that have consolidated the entire dashboard into one giant iPad. Windshield wipers? We put it on the touchscreen. Want to turn the air down a little bit? We put it on the touchscreen. I think the irony of these kinds of interfaces is that they give the illusion of luxury. This certainly seems like the more innovative option until you realize that the main reason they're so prevalent in cars now is because it is the cheapest way to build one.
It actually costs a lot of money to engineer all of these buttons and switches and to have the wiring. Doing all of that in software is a lot cheaper.
It is more expensive to produce actual knobs and buttons than it is to just throw every function onto one screen, make it compatible with Apple CarPlay, and call it a day. And then when something goes wrong, it's just a software problem. We'll figure it out. Or maybe we have to replace the entire thing and it's gonna be $4,000. Who's to say? And I didn't even mention the fact that if the screen does end up malfunctioning in a car that's entirely reliant on it, it's not just a minor inconvenience, it means you can't drive the car until it gets fixed. Some of the extra hoops I've seen people have to jump through in order to accomplish basic tasks now are mind-boggling. You know how sometimes you have the AC on, but it ends up blasting right into your hand, so you have to reach over and change the direction of the vent? Well, that's fucking dumb, okay? That's how a caveman would do it. It makes way more sense to go on over to the car tablet, find the AC control button, select the air vent you want to change, and then drag it where you want it to go, all while barreling through a school zone. While watching a bunch of videos of car dashboards, I happened...
Okay, really quickly, like, I have a really cheap car. right? Like it's a Nissan Versa. It is one of the cheapest cars that I could get at the time that I got a car. Thankfully, it was before like touchscreens were that prominent, so it's not cheap because of a touchscreen. It's cheap because of other things. Like I don't have an armrest in the middle, or whatever. Like like I don't like, yeah, I don't have like that thing you open up. That's the right word. And like put stuff in, and like other things that I'm forgetting because I've had this car for so long that I just don't remember what is in better cars. Um, but it has buttons, and I like buttons. Real.
Upon this 1989 Toyota, and there's something so beautiful about it. Look at that subtle burgundy interior, the tasteful thickness of those buttons. Oh my God.
Ow.
It even has a seatbelt. But I'm aware that I'm over romanticizing the past a little bit, because if I truly wanted a car that looked like this, I could have just bought one. Like, I do want modern features. I do want a car that's able to do the things that my phone can do. But if these things
That's
are
fair.
implemented in a way that forces you to look away from the road in order to be able to use them, I think we should reconsider how we got here. At this rate, it's only a matter of time until cars start shoving ads in our faces.
This car ride is brought to you by Opera, the smarter way to browse the web.
Oh, I was being kind of facetious about that.
I've never been more organized online since I started using Opera. The fact that it'll automatically sort my different tab rabbit holes into their own islands, so I'm not constantly overwhelmed by the uninhibited whims of my own brain, has legitimately changed my life.
Wait,
can I really not skip this?
Not only does Opera have a free ad blocker built directly into the browser, but they also have a free VPN
if they ever do car ads like while you're driving, that'd be
extensions you need to download. When I told my grandpa, he couldn't believe it.
You know, back in my day, you had to pay good money for a VPN. Now they're just giving them away for free.
I'm just trying to use the GPS, man.
And on top of being more functional and more secure, I think Opera just looks better. I love that you can have an animated wallpaper as the background of your homepage. I love that you can pin the sidebar if you want to keep an Instagram or TikTok page open, or have it close automatically if you're trying to get work done and need to keep the endless scroll at arm's length. There's even a battery saver feature you can toggle on and off that'll help you get the most out of your laptop before having to get up and finally charge it.
That does sound pretty useful, actually.
Upgrade the way you use the internet. Download Opera for free using my link in the description. If you scroll too far, don't worry, it's also in the pinned comment. Thank you to Opera for sponsoring today's video.
Wow, I'm convinced. I'm going to download Opera on my computer and smartphone today. Now, where am I? Oh, great. Hi, honey. Yep, I drove into the ocean again.
Cars have been around for about 100 years now, and it kind of seems like maybe we figured out the best way to make them and ran out of ways to meaningfully innovate. But that doesn't really work when you're trying to get people to buy a new one every single year, so you have to find something you can add to make it seem like there's been a big improvement. Things like door handles that retract into the car, which I guess is cool. I don't know if I've ever thought of that handle sticking out 3/4 of an inch as being an issue, but I'll admit it adds some sleekness to the car, and it's not like it's making things worse, right? What's that? If it gets too cold outside, the handles don't work anymore? Yeah, no, I can see how that might not be great.
Tesla fixed this problem with a software update last October. You can just press this to pop the door open when the door handles are frozen.
Great news, everyone. We've updated the app so you can now get into your car during the winter. So consider that problem solved.
But didn't you create the problem in the first
place?
place?
We're actually not taking any questions at this time.
My favorite thing about these door handles is no matter how many times I get an Uber driver that's in a Tesla, I don't know how to get inside. I'm sure it's very simple, but clearly I'm struggling enough as it is. One thing I haven't seen as many people talk about, but has driven me crazy for the past few years is headlights are getting brighter, right? Like, that's not just me. I cannot tell you how many times I've been driving down a 2-lane road at night and a car passes me with headlights so unbelievably bright, I cannot see anything for like 10 seconds. Hopefully I'm still in my lane. I guess I'll find out soon. Now, this is one of those things that's a double-edged sword, right? Because in theory, brighter headlights should make driving safer because visibility is improved. But I feel like it has to negate a little bit of the safety when those headlights don't just hit the road and instead shine directly into the eyes of oncoming drivers. I looked it up, and the two things that are causing this are, one, manufacturers using LEDs now instead of the softer and yellower halogen bulbs from the last couple decades. LEDs tend to be brighter and more compact, so they hit even harder when you're staring down the barrel of one.
Oh, this one for sure.
But the other reason for this is a byproduct of something that I think is in itself a problem, which is that cars are so much bigger now than they've ever been. So if you're driving a sedan in the opposite lane of a brand new Suburban, those lights are gonna have to go through your eyeballs in order to hit the road. There's something a little paradoxical about the safety of cars now, where they are much safer than they've ever been, while also posing more of a threat than they ever have. A brand new truck may have great safety ratings because it's twice as big as every other car around it, but now every other car around it has to worry about getting demolished by a truck that's twice as big as them.
So
Pedestrian deaths in America have skyrocketed over the past decade, and I don't think it's a coincidence that that's happening while cars continue to get taller and heavier for mostly no reason other than because they can, because there's no regulations stopping them from doing it. And if a truck being way bigger than it needs to be is what convinces someone to sign up for a $1,200 a month car payment, why would those car companies have any incentive to stop? It's created this cycle where I think a lot of people feel like the only way forward is to fight fire with fire. Everyone else has a giant car? Well, I guess I need to get one for myself. I remember seeing this post a few months ago where this guy talked about how lucky he was to have been driving in such a gargantuan SUV when he got in an accident because he and his family were able to walk away unharmed. And obviously, that's great that they're okay. This could have ended very tragically, and I'm happy that it didn't. But for someone to see this and their takeaway to be, see, this is why everyone should buy the biggest SUV they can because it's the only way to keep your family safe. You're not taking into account the fact that in a lot of cases, these giant trucks and SUVs are the danger.
Since the introduction of SUVs, there has been a massive increase in what are called front overs, a person, usually a child, getting run over by an SUV by a driver who can't even see them. Over a 10-year period, over 500 American children were killed by being run over by SUVs.
I mean, shit, why stop here? I think every American citizen should drive around in a military-grade tank. Yeah, we might run over a few more kids, but as long as they're not my kids, who gives a shit? Now, of course, I cannot make a video about cars that are bigger than they need to be, and dumber than they need to be, and more dangerous than they need to be,
it's a Cybertruck,
without talking about the one that lies squarely in the cross-section of that Venn diagram.
We watched the Danny Gonzalez video.
Welcome to the Cybertruck unveil.
This one was made before it, I think.
Ultra hard stainless steel. Really hard. Of course, it will come with autopilot standard. Franz, could you try to break this glass, please? Oh my fucking god.
So this awesome car, which looks like when you first boot up a video game and not all of the textures have loaded in yet, was announced a couple years ago as starting at $40,000. Fast forward to today. Anyone who is driving one of these right now, the bare minimum that I've seen any of them spend 100 grand. One of the biggest reasons for this absolutely bonkers price jump is this $20,000 foundation fee. That's right, there's an additional fee tacked on that is almost as much as what I spent on my entire car. So you're probably dying to know what that bonus gets you. Well, some people who paid for it don't even seem to know.
$20,000 for it being a foundation series. Now, I don't know what that really means or anything, but yeah, I paid it because I wanted the truck.
So at first I thought it was just that it says the word foundation on it, which would be really funny. But apparently most of what that fee is meant to be attributed to is the self-driving feature that you would otherwise have to pay a separate monthly fee to access.
Of course, it will come with autopilot standard.
Now, one tiny little thing to note about this feature is that it is not available yet, and no one can even hazard a guess as to when it will be. So as it currently stands, the only thing this $20,000 fee gives you is priority access to a car that's littered with problems.
Oh shit. Oh, we already broke it. All right, so my Cybertruck is completely broken. My foot is on the floor and it's not moving.
This gear selector at the top, it just dropped down. Something's going on with the windshield. What? I got all these warnings I never seen before. I'm trying to open up the trunk. It won't respond. I'm going back and forth trying to close it. It won't close.
That was great delivery.
When the tailgate's down, the camera's showing you the street. I have had enough.
At this point, I think I know more about manufacturing than anyone currently alive on Earth.
I have to say, I have really enjoyed watching videos lately from people who may or may not be in denial about the absurd amount of money wasted on this stupid car. They'll make these update videos where they complain about so many things they hate about it, and then be like, and that's why it's a perfect car. And I have no regrets.
This car is definitely worth the hype. This thing right here is a fingerprint magnet. I just got my car washed yesterday and there's still water spots. I noticed that my roof was starting to come off. Their navigation system sucks. It's resting on the inside. It was like this when I picked it up. I definitely think it's worth $100,000.
So included with the
Why is
Foundation
he so
series,
happy
you get
about all
all weather
that?
floor mats, and if you look right up here, there's a little Cybertruck logo.
Wait, did you say floor mats for all weather? Well, never mind then. They should have charged an extra $50,000. Sorry, I should be more sensitive. These people are going through enough right now. It's bad enough their car is falling apart, but they're also getting relentlessly bullied. Cyber clown trucks for stupid. Give it to the stupid clown to spend their life away. And this guy just said gay truck. That's like a truck owner's worst nightmare. I will say one thing I do really love about this car is that the rear view mirror doesn't work. Its view is completely obstructed most of the time. I mean, if you want, you can just look down at the screen at the rear view camera, but that also becomes useless if it gets even a little bit dirty. And isn't driving through dirt kind of the whole point of having a truck? That's all they do in commercials. Now, if off-roading is the thing you want to do in this truck, good luck, because it doesn't seem to know how to do that.
My friend in the 4Runner wanted to take that incline challenge, and he killed it. The Subaru also went up that incline. The Cybertruck did not make it up that incline. And once we got to about the middle of the incline, it would stop. We tried airing down to 30 PSI, but it still did not make it up the hill.
Also,
it looks like a Roblox
car. But part of his car broke while he was doing this. How does this keep happening?
From, like,
to be
the
fair though,
2010s
look how
early.
easily it navigates this puddle of mud. I mean, if I tried to drive through that in my old Civic, I literally would have drowned. But this truck can do things that I've never seen any vehicle do before. Yes, technically, this road is paved, but they're still in the woods. That's gotta count for something. This truly is the all-in-one vehicle. You can drive out in the middle of nowhere and sleep there if you want. It even comes with its own tent that you can attach to the back of the truck. For an additional $3,000. Now, considering you can get a pretty big tent for like $100, you'd probably assume that this thing is decked out with premium features. No, it's just a tent. A 1-inch thin mattress, a couple of straps, a zipper that barely works. But since it's an official Tesla product, you know you're getting that signature high-quality engineering.
Oh, that didn't sound good. Broken.
It even comes with a bicycle pump, so you can spend 10 minutes manually blowing it up. For $3,000, you should be able to hit a button and watch this thing assemble itself. It is crazy to me how much they're able to overcharge for the most basic shit. Cosmetically, this stainless steel, absolutely gorgeous. It does pick up the occasional fingerprint if you touch it at all. But as long as you don't get in the car or anywhere near the car, you've got nothing to worry about. And if it does get a little spotty, not a problem, just take it through a car wash. But if you do that, make sure you put it on car wash mode first, otherwise it'll break the truck and void your warranty.
The Cybertruck does not work anymore. Listen to the noise this thing makes.
Oh.
That was a weird popping sound. So what did I do different?
That was so
I
funny.
went to the beach, took it through the car wash, make sure all the sand's off. Then I pulled it in the garage and nothing.
This thing is practically invincible. You can hit it with a hammer. You can hit it with a shopping cart. But if it gets any bugs on it, you need to clean that off immediately or you will ruin it forever. The Cybertruck is also famously bulletproof for some reason, although I'm not really sure why they've made that one of the primary selling points.
When you shoot a normal truck, the bullets go in one side, straight through, and out the other side. You cannot hide behind the vehicle to be safe, so it's something to keep in mind.
Keep in mind for what? Who
I get shot
are you
at so
marketing this
often.
car to? John Wick? The things they chose to prioritize while making this truck are baffling to me. Who gives a shit that it's bulletproof if the material they had to use to make it that way makes it so razor sharp you cut your hand every time you open the door? Who cares how strong the interior is if it can't even get wet? They're calling it a car made for any planet. Guys, why don't we start with making it work on this one? As far as safety goes, I've seen conflicting reports about this. There's a crash that happened between a Cybertruck and a Toyota Corolla, and if you look at the photos from the accident, you might think, wow, this truck is invincible. It barely got a scratch on it. Meanwhile, the guy in the Corolla is probably seriously hurt, right? No, he's fine. The problem with this rigid outer body is that cars are designed to crumple in an accident. That's their way of absorbing as much force as possible. If your car doesn't crumple, that force will be passed on to the passengers inside of it. So while the Cybertruck may look like the world's most indestructible car, a lot of people who know more about physics than I do aren't so sure this is a good thing. I think what Tesla has done the most successfully with this truck is make it so their target audience doesn't care about any of these problems. I've seen people online who are actively enduring nightmare situations still go out of their way to defend this company. Cybertruck broke down on my first road trip with my family, lost the back motor and was unable to drive, had to get it towed 2 hours back home. First year problems. Always good to wait a year or two on a brand new model. I know this as an early 3/Y owner, but man, come on. I had to grab the Cybertruck. No, you didn't. And it definitely seems like you shouldn't have. I found this guy on Twitter whose experience perfectly encapsulates the Cybertruck launch. His truck broke pretty much immediately. He got that patented flashing red critical service error. Couldn't even drive it, had to pull over. Since then, it's been in the shop for weeks with no word on how long it's gonna take to fix. There's apparently at least 10 different things wrong with it. Wire harness needs replacement, ripple in windshield, driver's seat rubbing on center console, headliner sagging, chip and foundation series dashboard trim, mobile connector provided with Cybertruck not charging the truck past 6 amps, front misalignment, one side is higher, rear side arch misalignment sticking up. It could be another month before this guy gets his $100,000 car back. In the meantime, they're making up for all the trouble they've caused him by letting him borrow a regular Model 3 Tesla, which he himself described as being filthy with a strong, unpleasant odor that has persisted even after he went to the trouble of cleaning it inside and out. And it is fascinating to watch this guy, who has been absolutely fucked by Tesla, continue to go to war on Elon's behalf. People often criticize what they don't fully grasp, but the moment you take the wheel of a Cybertruck, everything changes. You'll quickly discover that all other trucks pale in comparison, becoming obsolete in the Cybertruck's shadow. Hey guys, it's been like 2 weeks since you took my car. Are you almost done fixing it, or? They've got it all twisted. Instead of comparing the Cybertruck to other trucks, they should compare the other EV truck's features and capabilities to those of the Cybertruck. Then it becomes clear just how superior the Cybertruck is and how the other trucks are stuck in the dinosaur era. Hey, my car has been in the shop for its entire life so far. Do you think I'm ever gonna be able to drive it again? While other trucks are busy playing catch up, the Cybertruck is already in the future, being the undisputed champion. Hating on the Cybertruck might get you more engagement and clicks, but I'll never fake it to make it. I love my Cybertruck. Really wish I could get my truck back this weekend.
Love his reading.
Dude, if I was this guy, I would be furious. He has every right to be pissed off here, but he seems to be more mad at the people telling him he's been scammed than at the company that actually scammed him. I've spent so much time this month watching videos of people driving this car and talking about this car and hating on this car, but at the end of the day, it's not fair for me to fully judge something that I've never even seen in person, let alone actually driven. Sure, I can pick and choose clips that fit the argument I'm trying to make, but can I really condemn something I've never even stepped foot inside? No.
Oh, true.
But then I found out there's an app you can use to rent other people's cars for a day, so I spent $700 to pretend I own a Cybertruck.
I knew it was gonna happen.
Love that sound. This is my nightmare. Everything on the screen, nothing's here. I don't like how many buttons I have to press to
the wheel's so small.
Turn the AC off. For a truck as big as this is, I don't love how sensitive everything is. The steering wheel, you barely have to turn it. You don't need to brake. I instinctively, when I'm slowing down, I want to take my foot off the accelerator and brake, but it brakes when you let go of the accelerator, so it's like really jerky. I guess I would get used to that if I drove it more often, but so far it's just like, I feel like I'm really drawing a lot of attention to myself. Going to a Costco parking lot, probably a bad idea. Everyone is turning and looking.
When I drive, I do not want to be perceived or looked at.
That guy right there is stopping to look at us right now.
Another Tesla is looking at us.
He's like, my big brother.
When we got inside Costco, though, something weird happened. People stopped looking at me. I had to get out of there as soon as possible.
Look at all these normies. Only I'm in the Cybertruck. Okay. So many steps to open the mirror. They have something called karaoke. Took me, shook me, feeling me, singing from heart. Like a lot of reviewers said, you cannot use this rearview mirror. It is just complete darkness in there. It is very smooth to drive. It doesn't feel like you're driving a giant truck, but I kind of wish it did. If you forget that your car weighs 7,000 pounds and you're driving it like it doesn't, like I just feel like it's way too easy to accelerate as fast as you can and slice someone in half, which I'd rather not do.
It was a
I feel like the
beautiful
point of a
spring
truck
day
is to feel like a
outside, so
truck.
the next thing on my agenda was a romantic picnic in the park with my lovely wife.
What's wrong? You've hardly touched your cereal. You don't want Cinnamon Toast Crunch, I got a banana instead.
I've driven a little bit now.
That's romantic.
I'm pretty sure every time I've parked and gotten out so far, I've left the car on because I don't know how to turn it off. There's not like a button or anything. But I finally figured out, it's very intuitive. You hit this, and then was it safety, right? And then you scroll all the way down, and you want to scroll past Joe mode. Don't put it on Joe mode. Then you just hit power off, and then that's it. And that's how you turn off the Cybertruck.
Getting the truck to fit into my garage was a lot closer of a call than I expected it to be. If I did own this car, this would be quite the fun little adventure to get to go on every single day.
And that's how you park a Tesla Cybertruck in your garage.
Despite all my issues with the truck, the more I drove it around the city and felt the enamored stares from mesmerized bystanders, I was reminded of what the guy I rented it from told me. You'll feel like a celebrity. And god damn it, he was right. I've never felt more popular. What, is that freaking Brad Pitt over there? Nope. Just little old me driving the best truck in the world.
Please, no pictures. I'm a regular person just like you.
I like the way this car makes me feel.
I don't care how much it costs. If it's not solid gold, I don't want it.
Hey, can I talk to you for a sec?
Sure, but make it quick.
Ever since you've been driving that car, you've been acting kind of weird.
How exactly do you mean?
You're like a completely different person now.
Oh, I see. You're jealous.
What?
You're jealous because I own the world's most awesome car.
You don't own the car. You're renting it for one day.
Oh, tell me how I knew you'd bring that up.
Because it's true, Drew.
I'm sorry, I can't deal with this right now. I need to go clear my head. I'm gonna take a nice scenic drive dangerously close to the edge of a cliff. We interrupt this slow motion car montage with some breaking news. Somehow the Cybertruck just got even dumber. Tesla has officially recalled all 3,800 of the vehicles due to a problem with the accelerator pedal. Turns out the pedal has a cheap plastic cover over it that's been fastened on so poorly, it's sliding off, getting lodged under the piece in front of it, and causing drivers to go as fast as this stupid car can go.
It held the accelerator down 100%. Full throttle?
This is a real thing that's actually happening. We here at Channel 300 News urge you, if your husband is about to drive one of these death traps near or around a cliff, you must go stop him. His life could be in danger.
Honey, I just saw on the news.
Who's a big, strong truck? That's right. You are.
He's okay with it now.
I had to give the truck back last night. It was one of the hardest moments of my life. Technically, I still had a few hours left on the rental, but Amanda said she felt weird or something. I don't know, it's all a blur. Final thoughts on the truck. I think it should cost $1 million, and I wish it had 2 accelerator pedals and no brakes so I could drive twice as fast and
That's
never have to
so real.
stop. Please subscribe.
This is such a good ending bit.
Hey,
oh
guy,
my god, my fault. I ruined everything. Wow. This is a cute video. I wanted to mention this during the video, but like I got distracted because I was just remembering the memory. In high school, I was like, you know how in the video they mentioned how like the car is bulletproof? In high school, there's one like kid in my class. It was like my AP Lit class or whatever, AP Lang. He told the teacher, the English teacher, she was like this like nice, like in her like 40s, like really like liberal progressive woman, that he got shot at by a white dude in a truck, and that's why he couldn't do his homework. I promise that's a real story. And the worst part is, I believed him. Until like a few months later when I heard him like talking about like how he made up the most like bogus story ever and she listened to it. Yeah. That was an experience. This was like okay, actually I don't want to age myself that hard. Just know that like it was relevant to the political conversation at the time. Anyways, let's read actually wait, did I say everything I wanted to say at the video? I think this video was pretty neat. Obviously, it's hard for me to not compare it to the Danny Gonzalez video that I watched a bit ago. That came out after this, but covered like more different like weird tech stuff. He also rented the Cybertruck, and I think that video was more focused on the rental, whereas this video kind of included it as like a fun bit at the end. And I thought that was pretty neat, like how this video did it and how that other video did it. I feel like Drew, for the one day he had it, had a lot of like fun little clips and tidbits and goofy little segments. It is cool to see like this video that's 3 months old versus the Danny Gonzalez video that like was made closer, like more recent. So it's a little more updated with more information. Like this one didn't mention the whole like trunk closing, slicing off your finger thing. There was a bit where he had his hand on the trunk, like next to it when it was closing, and I got worried for a second. But yeah, keep reading. The Cybertruck looks like you'll get third-degree burns if you touch it in summer. That's real. I'm so happy people who aren't car enthusiasts are finally understanding how terrible new cars are becoming. Obviously, I'm not an expert, but I feel like, at least to me, like my like intuition, right? And I could be completely wrong, and let me know if I am. Is that I feel like cars that have like these software heavy dashboards and stuff, when you cheap out on them, a lot of things can go wrong. And because the technology is like newer, there's less like minimum quality than you get with like a car that just has like buttons. Because like my car was cheap as hell, but like it works. It's fine. I have manual windows, but it's fine. Whereas these newer cars, at least to me, seem like they're definitely like way less like not sophisticated, but like in the video some folks mentioned how like the Cybertruck is like the first generation of its kind, right? So like in successive generations it'll improve. And like not only is it like the first generation of its kind, but like a lot of these cars are like newer, using newer technology, not just reiterating on a concept that's been around for decades. So I kind of get it. Like I can believe that at the very least. Changing the entire center console to a touchscreen panel is such an objectively bad decision. I am actually shocked it's even legal. I agree. I don't really drive at night anymore because everyone is driving around with the sun strapped to the front of their cars. I don't relate. I honestly like haven't noticed that issue lately, but I also don't drive like during really populated times of night. Like at 6 p.m., like I'm at home playing a video game. At 10 p.m., I'm going to McDonald's. Ironically, the Cybertruck being bulletproof actually makes it more dangerous. Not just because cars are designed to crumple to absorb the impact, but also because if you were to get in an accident that made you unable to open the doors, stronger doors and stronger windows mean they're harder to break to get you out of the car. That's real. This is actually pretty real. Because like that's more likely to happen than you getting shot at. I can't comment on this. I don't really know anything. Is there anything left to talk about? Cars have made themselves accessible for people with epilepsy, which sometimes even flashes and warns you. Yeah, that sounds very helpful for folks with epilepsy. I'm imagining his wife at her 9-to-5 job doing adult stuff while her goofball husband crashes into a very slowly closing gate. Hilarious. That's so real. And the gate did in fact crash into him, so this comment is a lie. Um, this was such a goofy video. Karaoke things. I mean, okay, it is just for okay, yeah, that's her. It's probably distracting for the driver. It's for the passengers. I mean, yeah, like at least for me, right? If like the screen is in my peripheral vision and it has like a blue because it's white text, right? And the text that you're supposed to sing is blue and it kind of jumps a bit if I remember correctly. And that is kind of distracting. I get that. Okay, well, this was fun. I'm really good at ending my videos. And yeah, thank you for watching. Hope you have a great time and enjoy yourself for real. See you. Bye. Hey folks, thank you for watching the video. Remember to like it, follow on YouTube, subscribe on Twitch, and have a great rest of your day. Thank you so much.